Good morning, you guys. It is Sunday, January 13th, 2019. And you know what I'm going to get at. You know what I'm talking about. Y'all, I was extremely disappointed in last night's game. We had a great season. Everyone counted us out. We started out 3-5. We traded for Amari Cooper, which was an amazing trade. You finish out 10-6. You win your first playoff game in 5 years. This season, by objective standards, was a success. We should have won last night's game. Last night, I was extremely disappointed. Everybody likes to throw blame at this person, that person, that person. Y'all, when you give up almost 300 yards rushing, that means your defensive line is losing at the point of attack. When Ezekiel Elliott can only have 50-something yards rushing on 20 carries, your offensive line is losing at the point of attack. The offensive line and the defensive line were thoroughly dominated last night. Everyone likes to talk about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was the sole reason we had 22 points in that game. He was the only one that really balled out. Dak was the only reason why we had 22 points. So I don't want to hear anybody blaming Dak. That doesn't make sense. If you're blaming Dak, you don't know football. Just being real. The line of scrimmage battle is pertinent in the NFL. If you lose the line of scrimmage, 99% of the time you lose the game. You can't move the ball, and you can't stop the opposing team from moving the ball. That's important. You guys, it's hard for me to focus on anything else because nothing else can flourish if the line on both sides doesn't flourish. We got manhandled. The defensive line got manhandled last night. C.J. Anderson, his fat ass, just running around for 132 yards. Todd Gurley, you could tell like he limped around a little bit. But he had that 35-yard touchdown run. The lanes were just opening up for him. The lanes were just opening up. And the offensive line, Aaron Donald, especially Ndamukong Suh, was beating that line's ass. Looney, the rookie Connor Williams, they didn't stand a chance last night. And Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald just slaughtered them, murdered them, made them look like boys. Like, it wasn't even close, you guys. When I look at this game, it's kind of hard for me to say, Jason Garrett can't coach for shit. Offensive line, the defensive line just lost. They just lost yesterday. That's the only thing I'm really focused on. And if they would have played better, we would have won the game. We should have won the game. The Rams are not that good. And they're going to, whoever wins today, Eagles versus Saints, they're going to the Super Bowl. The Rams defensively are absolutely horrible. The front four dominated. But that linebacking core, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib hurt again. Marcus Peters is overrated. Aqib Talib got hurt again yesterday, even though he came back in. Whoever they play next week, they're going to get murdered. We had no excuse to get beat like that. We just got thoroughly outplayed at the line of scrimmage. That's ifs, ands, or buts about it. People want to complain about the refs, and I don't really care about the refs. The refs made some questionable calls, didn't make certain calls, but at the end of the day, the refs, it doesn't matter. They didn't have that much of an impact to where we couldn't win the game. Don't use refs as an excuse. Don't blame Dak Prescott. And I know this sucks, but I'm not even going to blame Jason Garrett. Now, I will say this. Scott Linehan has to go. Scott Linehan has to go. But everything else, it's hard for me to blame anything else when you just can't do anything up front. And that's where it all starts, you guys. It starts up front. Everybody's all over the place, placing blame on everybody, but you have to look at that O-line. You have to look at that D-line. Antoine Woods, God bless him, but he's not good enough. D-Law, Tyrone Crawford, they weren't good enough yesterday. They simply weren't good enough. Joe Looney, Connor Williams, they simply weren't good enough yesterday. They got thoroughly whipped. You can't... Sean McVay didn't really do much yesterday. He just like, hey, our offensive line is dominating. Let's just keep running the ball with C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley. That's it. There was no innovation. There was no trickery, no trick plays. He didn't thoroughly outcoach Jason Garrett. He just saw that he recognized that his offensive line was just dominating. The time of possession battle was atrocious. The LA Rams had the ball nearly double the amount of time that we had. That just goes to show that our defensive line got pushed around. And when your defensive line gets pushed around, that affects the linebackers. You know, it just... Dak Prescott played a good game. And in big moments, at least we know we can count on him. I don't care what none of y'all say. Dak Prescott played a damn good game. Everybody else just didn't show up.